Federal investigators saying that they believe that the two Boston terrorist suspects were likely radicalized online by ISIS, a move becoming a trend, and we're continuing to see this in other plots as well. And during a hearing yesterday, counterterrorism officials warned that the use of social media by ISIS is unprecedented.
ISIL has been able to quickly reach a global audience and encourage acts of violence, inspiring U.S. citizens to travel to Syria to recruit and radicalize.
Its social media presence is more widespread than any other terrorist group. ISIL has often shaped its media content to amplify the effect of its violent operations and activities. They do so in an attempt to project an image of power and intimidation.
Texas Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally is a member of the Homeland Security Committee, and she was at that hearing. Congresswoman, welcome. Good to have you here
Thanks.
this morning.
Good to be on.
You know, you see what happened in Boston, obviously, and it makes you extremely concerned, I know, about how active these online recruiting efforts are. And there are so many vulnerable young men and women, as you point out, who for some reason are succumbing to this.
Absolutely. I just came from a classified update on this and the other terror threats abroad and at home. And what we're seeing is this sophisticated social media campaign. Over 200,000 ISIS-related tweets a day. Think about that. And they're using it to recruit individuals to come to the fight, get training, join the fight over in Iraq and Syria, and then maybe flow back. But they're also using it to try and inspire individuals wherever they are to radicalize them and to take action in their own communities. So Boston is just another example. It looks like individuals, they just wanted to take action. They're an action-oriented terrorist organization. Great work by federal and local law enforcement. They were tracking this guy, but what about the ones that we're not tracking? What about the ones that we're not seeing based on that unprecedented activity, very sophisticated, that we're seeing on multiple social media sites, to include the traditional ones, you know, Facebook and others, but also the ones that we call the dark spaces that are encrypted end-to-end, and law enforcement, even with a warrant, can't actually get access and see what's going on in there.
We had Congressman McCall on, the chairman of the committee, yesterday. Here's a little bit of what he said to remind folks at home.
Right.
Even if we have coverage by, say, a warrant or a wiretap, they can then jump into a message box and then to another platform that's called dark space that we cannot cover. We don't know what those communications are.
So we got to fix that problem, right?
Absolutely. This is really an unprecedented situation that we're in, that law enforcement, when they have probable cause, they go get a warrant, they are really unable to be able to identify what's being communicated in some of these dark spaces. So we've definitely got to fix that problem. You know, additionally, we've got only 4 people at the Department of Homeland Security that is focused on community outreach and trying to deal with local communities, local Muslim leaders, to try and address the radicalization out in our communities. You know, there's just 4 of them. There's over 300 million of us. The Boston case, I think, is another example where, you know, friends and family, there's reports that friends had identified that he was becoming more radical, and they distanced themselves from him. So we're really the first line of defense, friends and family. You see something is not right in someone that you love, someone that attends your worship area, someone in your family. I mean, you've got to be the one that doesn't walk away, but actually identifies what's going on and maybe reports that to law enforcement. We're really the first line of defense.
You make a great point, Congresswoman. And the fact is, I mean, there's sort of 2 ways to do that. You can say, you know, please help us. Please let us know if you think that something is not right, you think that someone you know or love or care about, or just as an acquaintance may be brewing something. But there's another side of that, too. I mean, at what point does it become not lawful to not turn over that information?
Yeah, you know, that's a good element of it. Again, we don't want to get to the point where everybody's, you know, living paranoid and in fear and, you know, turning in their friends and neighbors. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is we have environment where people are being basically isolated and then radicalized via these very sophisticated social media campaigns. And so it's the people that are in their lives that need to at least be on the alert and take appropriate action. And I don't know would go that far to, you know, hold them accountable if they don't, but we've got to be very careful to protect people's privacy and not go overboard. But we can't be hoping that someone else is going to figure this out. This can't be a top-down approach from Washington, D.C. This is local law enforcement, again, local churches, community-based individuals and family and friends that really are the ones that should be seeing what this transition is for some individuals, and then be at least alerting people. Again, the case, Raheem was being watched 24/7 by the FBI. He was already an example of someone they knew was a very, very much a potential threat. Garland, Texas is a great example of national law enforcement working with local law enforcement in order to make sure that people were kept safe. These are the situations we know about. It's the ones that we don't know about,
and I'm sure you're concerned that there are so many that we don't know about,
yes.
I would imagine. All right, we got to leave it there. Congresswoman McSally from Arizona,
Great.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too.
There are new concerns.